Petroleum engineers design and develop methods for extracting oil and gas from the Earth's surface. In this video, I'm going to share with you what kind of salaries petroleum engineers can expect to earn in 2019. I'll also compare petroleum engineering salaries with other hot engineering salaries. Coming up. Hey everybody, Steven here, and this is Careerwatch, where we cover the very latest career trends. If you end up enjoying this video, you can support us by subscribing. Let's get into it. The first chart I have for you guys is showing the history of petroleum engineering pay over the past 21 years, from the late 90s, 1997, all the way to 2018. And then you'll notice that I have a 2019 projected column, and that's kind of showing you, I calculated the wage growth from 1997 to 2018, and I calculated what the 2019 pay most likely would be. But look at this chart. This chart is all over the map. Back in 1997, petroleum engineers were on average making about $68,000 per year in 1997. And after 21 years of wage growth, the average pay has risen to about $156,000 in 2018. And if you include the wage growth that I calculated earlier, that I was saying earlier, that pay would be about $160,000 in 2019. Compare that to the average wage. The average wage was about $27,000 in 1997 and rose to about $53,000 in 2019. So petroleum engineers are doing extremely well compared to the average wage. Another thing to notice about this chart is that the wage growth has not been even. The wage growth really got started in 2003 and just accelerated all the way to 2012. And then something happened in 2012 and the wage growth kind of subsided a little bit. But the wage growth is still very good. It's just compared to 2003 to 2012, it has calmed down a little bit. The next chart I want to show you guys is the wage growth chart. Again, I calculated the wage growth using numbers from 1997 to 2018 for the average wage and the wage of petroleum engineers. And on average, petroleum engineers are seeing $4,200 more per year of wage growth. Comparing the average to, the average wage is seeing about $1,200 more per year. And this is pretty much, when you compare it across a lot of other occupations, this is extremely high. I mean, every year over year, petroleum engineers are earning more and more money. The next chart I have for you guys is the pay distribution chart. And this is showing different percentiles of pay for petroleum engineers. The blue line represents the 10th percentile, the orange line represents the 25th percentile, the gray line represents the 50th percentile, and the yellow line represents the 75th percentile. And notice that there isn't a 90th percentile. Your eyes aren't playing a trick on you. The government doesn't actually report the 90th percentile for petroleum engineers, and they haven't for over a decade, because they actually won't release the number if it's over $220,000. So at the 90th percentile, pay is just pretty much bonkers. So the other thing I wanted to point out about this chart is notice that the wage growth really is working for the 75th percentile and up. The 10th, 25th, and 50th percentile are seeing wage growth, but at the 75th percentile, there's like that gap, and they're making more and more and more money. So this is motivating if you're going to become a petroleum engineer. Really, I guess, work to understand the field and just work your ass off, and you can get there and you can make a ridiculous amount of money. But there is quite a gap between the 10th percentile, the 25th percentile, and the 75th percentile, as in this chart. Also, the other thing I wanted to point out, just like I was pointing out earlier, 2012, wage growth really did slow down compared to earlier years for each percentile. The next chart I have for you guys is the population of petroleum engineers over time. And I realize this isn't a wage chart. Doesn't have money in it, but it's interesting, and I thought you guys might find it interesting as well. Like I was telling you about 2012, well, this might provide a clue as to why wage growth slowed down a little bit for petroleum engineers. Companies appear to be rapidly hiring from 2003 all the way to 2012, and then it subsided a little bit. And in fact, there are less jobs today in 2018, 2019 than there were back in 2012, and this might be related to the price of oil. I'm not an expert. If you guys know the answer to this, please leave a comment below. I think it's probably the price of oil and how, I guess, competitive it has been. Or, yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. But this could definitely have an influence on wage growth, in my opinion. The other thing that is interesting is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports they're expecting petroleum engineering jobs to rise by 15% over the next 10 years. So they see this. They see that petroleum engineering has been shedding jobs, but they still predict a 15% increase in jobs over the next 10 years. Not sure how they reached this conclusion, but what do you think? The next chart I have for you is comparing petroleum engineering with other hot engineering fields. This is my last chart. Petroleum engineering is the most lucrative form of engineering. It's the highest paying. In 2018, the average petroleum engineer was making about $156,000. Again, if you apply the wage growth in 2019, you'd expect that to be like $160,000. The second highest is computer engineering, where they're making about $118,000. Third highest, aerospace, making about $117,000. Fourth highest, chemical engineering, making about $114,000. And finally, nuclear engineers, number 5 spot, making around $110,000 per year. Are you interested in becoming a petroleum engineer? Let me know in the comments below. Again, you can support this channel by subscribing, and I will catch you guys next time.